In ancient Egypt, a figure emerged whose teachings were so powerful that both Greek philosophers and early Christian scholars fought to claim him as their own. His name was Hermes Trismegistus, the thrice great, and he made a claim that sounds absolutely insane. He said, "Your thoughts don't just reflect reality, they literally rearrange it." And modern science is starting to suggest he might not have been wrong. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what he meant and why quantum physicists keep stumbling into the same conclusion he reached thousands of years ago. Let's start with the teaching itself. In a collection of texts known as the Hermetica, written sometime between the 1st and 3rd centuries, Hermes lays out a principle that sits at the foundation of everything else he taught. He called it the principle of mentalism, and it goes like this: the all is mind, the universe is mental. That's not a metaphor, he meant it literally. The entire physical universe, every atom, every star, every cell in your body, is a thought held within an infinite mind, and your individual mind is a fragment of that same mind. Now, before you dismiss this as ancient mysticism, consider what that actually implies. If the universe is fundamentally mental, then thought isn't some byproduct of brain activity. Thought is the primary substance of reality itself. Matter doesn't produce consciousness. Consciousness produces matter. And that means when you change your thoughts, you're not just changing your mood, you're interfering with the base code of the universe. But here's where it gets really interesting. Hermes didn't stop at that one principle. He described exactly how this process works through a second law, the principle of correspondence. As above, so below. As within, so without. You've probably heard that phrase before. Most people think it's just a poetic saying. It's not. It's an operational instruction. It means the patterns in your mind directly mirror and influence the patterns in your external world. Your inner state isn't separate from your outer reality. They're the same system, viewed from two different angles. Think about that for a moment. If your mental landscape and your physical landscape are reflections of each other, then persistent thought patterns aren't just habits, they're architectural blueprints. You're literally designing the structure of your experience every single moment, whether you realize it or not. Now, here's the part that would have gotten you burned at the stake a few centuries ago. Hermes taught that most humans are asleep to this power. We walk around thinking we're victims of circumstance, buffeted by random events, when in reality, we're unconscious creators. Our thoughts radiate outward constantly, attracting and repelling conditions that match their frequency. He called this the principle of vibration. Nothing rests. Everything moves, everything vibrates. And thought is the highest, most potent form of vibration there is. If you're finding this fascinating, go ahead and subscribe. We dive into ideas like this every single week. So let's connect this to modern science, because this is where things get genuinely unsettling. In 1998, a team at the Weizmann Institute of Science in Israel conducted a now famous experiment. They fired electrons through a barrier with two slits and observed something that had been theorized but never so cleanly demonstrated. When no one was watching, the electrons behaved like waves, passing through both slits simultaneously. But the moment a detector was placed to observe which slit the electron passed through, the wave function collapsed. The electron behaved like a particle. It chose one path. Read that again. The act of observation, of a conscious mind paying attention, physically changed the behavior of matter. The electrons didn't just happen to act differently, they responded to being watched. Hermes said this over 1,000 years before anyone knew what an electron was. And it doesn't end there. Dr. Masaru Emoto's controversial water crystal experiments showed that water exposed to different words and intentions formed dramatically different crystalline structures. Water exposed to gratitude formed intricate, symmetrical patterns. Water exposed to hatred formed chaotic, fragmented shapes. Now, the scientific community has debated his methodology extensively, but the core premise, that focused intention can influence the structure of matter, aligns precisely with what Hermes taught. There's also the placebo effect, which remains one of the most stubborn puzzles in modern medicine. A patient believes they're receiving treatment. Their body responds as if they actually are. Tumors shrink, pain vanishes, immune systems strengthen, all from a thought, a belief, an expectation held firmly enough that the body reorganizes itself around it. That's not metaphor. That's measurable, repeatable, physical change driven by mental activity. But here's the part most people miss entirely, and it's the deepest layer of Hermetic teaching. Hermes didn't just say your thoughts influence matter. He said there's no actual boundary between the two. The separation between mind and matter is an illusion, a construct. What you call physical reality is just thought vibrating at a lower frequency. And what you call imagination is matter vibrating at a higher one. They exist on the same spectrum, The only difference is density. This means the gap between thinking something and that something becoming real isn't a gap at all. It's a gradient. And the speed at which your thoughts materialize depends on their clarity, their emotional intensity, and most importantly, their consistency. Scattered, contradictory thinking creates scattered, contradictory results. Focused, sustained thought creates focused, tangible outcomes. This is why every ancient tradition, from Egyptian mystery schools to Buddhist meditation halls to the prayer practices of early Christianity, emphasized the same thing. Guard your mind, control your attention, because attention isn't passive. It's the most active, creative force in the universe. Hermes Trismegistus didn't have a particle accelerator. He didn't have brain imaging technology. He had something potentially more valuable, a direct understanding of the relationship between consciousness and reality that we're only now beginning to verify with instruments. And his core message was devastatingly simple. You are not a passive observer of reality. You are its author, and every thought you hold is a sentence being written into the fabric of what comes next. The real question isn't whether your thoughts shape matter, it's what you've been unconsciously building with yours this entire time.